Hello, this is Chipicon, and excuse me if I do fangirl squeeze tonight because I'm so psyched. Because Thursday, we're headed down tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, and we pack. And then Friday, the conference starts. So I'm excited. And tonight's show is basically, I've got a handful of our wonderful speakers here to tell you what they're going to be speaking about, because I always feel that if you hear it from them, you're going to get all excited and you say, I have to see that one. So we'll start with Sarah because she has to go someplace after. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we want to letting the speakers tell people how wonderful they are is least we can do. So tell us about what you're sharing. You're going to be virtual track, right?
I'm going to be virtual. I'm on Friday night. I think I'm the last speaker on Friday night at, you'd think I would know, I think 9. That sounds
9
true.
o'clock, yes.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to be teaching a workshop on the first Solomonic lunar pentacle, which I call the lunar lock and key, right? So I'm going to lecture for maybe about half the time, right? And I'll talk about sort of like where this pentacle came from, which is a medieval grimoire called the Key of Solomon. I'll talk about some historic and cultural context for the Key of Solomon. And then for the pentacles themselves, which are actually a later addition to that grimoire. Then I'll sort of zoom in and we'll talk very specifically. We'll do like a deep dive analysis of the first lunar pentacle. A pentacle is a kind of a Hebrew amulet, right? You can think of them in a couple of different ways. They are a diagram for a ritual. They are usually thought of in the sort of modern English-speaking occult world as a wearable magical talisman, right? And they are often also used as like a table of practice, right? So sort of like a magical tablescape, right? That you do other magic on. In some ways, the same way that like if you think about a big ceremonial magic, you would cast like a big circle with names and stuff. A lot of times we use a pentacle as like a mini one, almost like a dollhouse ceremonial circle, and then we'll like move things around inside the pentacle. So when you do them in that sense, you usually make them like, you know, on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper about this big as a table of practice that you would move around, right? So we're going to talk about the first one, the lunar lock and key. We'll do a super deep dive analysis. So these are Hebrew amulets. They're full of like Hebrew God and angel names of power. We will in depth talk about every single name. So you will come away from that workshop being able to read every word on that talisman, something that many magicians can't do, right? And I think it's really important to know, you know, if you're gonna do magic that's made out of words, I do think it's important to know what those words mean. And then in the second half of class, I'm gonna walk you through a ritual for making your own one of these lunar locks and keys and then using it. At first, I was gonna try and teach it so like you would follow along at home. But the truth is, I think it's better. I'm going to sort of talk you through it, and then I'll send you home to do it on your own time. We'll talk about sort of correct timing for it. And also in class, I'm maybe going to go a little faster than I think people can go.
Yeah. Well, that is also going to be, I think it's important to say that it's on virtuals. So even those of us who are at the conference, we could go to our rooms and watch you, or we can watch it later on recorded. So.
Exactly. And so what I'm going to recommend actually is that even people who watch it live, you can like watch it sort of a second time as you're actually making it. So I see a question in the chat window. Does that have anything in common with Enoki and chess? I mean, you know, I always hesitate to say things have nothing in common, right? But Enoki and chess is really sort of a much later and much more Christian and Western European tradition, right? That certainly does draw from the Hebrew amulet tradition, but the Hebrew amulet tradition broadly, right, starts in late antiquity, right, and pushes into the medieval ages. And these pentacles that I'm talking about in particular are a very late instantiation of that. It's unclear where they developed. They are definitely in, I want to say wide circulation, but I mean, you know, wide circulation among wizards, right? By like the 1600s. I believe, right, and I think historians are sort of coming around to the view that what we call Solomonic pentacles probably developed in Sepharad, that is in the Jewish communities in Muslim-controlled Iberia, Spain, and Portugal, probably in the 11 or 1200s, right? So it's a much earlier than Enochian chest, and Enochian is certainly related to Hebrew in some ways. Good question.
Well, okay. Well, that was, yeah. So that's basically what we're looking for, is a quick overview, and it got me saying, okay, I guess I will go checking that one out.
I think people will like it. I think it's really fun. It's a very powerful, like, you come out with a magical talisman, right? Like, it's a pretty potent magical talisman. And you'll also come out with an understanding of how to make other Solomonic pentacles as well.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Do you have anything else you want to say to promote
Gretchen,
yourself?
do you have a question?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
No, I got something else.
Okay. Got it.
So now we go to say, so thank you, and you can stay, or you can stay to listen.
I gotta duck out because I have a friend in my kitchen. But,
exactly.
I will see all of you guys in the
Okay. Who wants to go next? Thanks, Miss Sarah.
Gretchen can't hold it. Well, because Sarah's going to be on at 9 o'clock Friday night, and so am I.
Oh, yes. So you're going to be live.
North's working.
So I'm really excited to tell you that I've got a really wonderful workshop coming up that time.
Yeah.
That one is going to be on color and matching up the color to the calendar of the year to make some of the basics of astrology a whole lot easier to remember through the use of color. And it is based on a lot of the work that was done by the Golden Dawn, but taking it and parsing out what the colors, where the colors are, and how they relate to each other. So you get a really good, solid grounding in the choice of color that you can use for very specific reasons to key yourself into things more readily, to the seasons especially, but to the planets and to the elements too, because the same colors can be used for all three, for the zodiac, for the elements, and for the planets. And I'll be going in depth into the artist's color wheel, and I will not be going into the theatrical color wheel, which is not a wheel, it's a spectrum, which I make very clear because people get upset when I start talking about one and they think I mean the other one. But the relationship of the colors on the color wheel that's used by the artist who is painting will help to illuminate the whole scheme of the ruling planets, the elements of the signs, the sequence of the zodiacal signs, and so on. And it all fits together very elegantly. I was really surprised at how coherent the system becomes. The colors are intuitive to some extent, but they've been organized into a really nice formal presentation. So that's my Friday workshop in a nutshell. The Saturday morning workshop, I think it's at around 11, is an essential if you're going to be working with planets and with selecting magical times, because it goes through a step-by-step introduction to how to figure out the planetary hours. And that's where a particular planet has more influence than in other times. And yes, you can find the planetary hours on a good app on the internet, but if you don't understand how the structure was done at least once, then the times make no sense to you. But once you understand how they're calculated, you'll appreciate the applications better because you'll understand how much work they're saving you. But in addition, you will understand what they're doing for you. Now, in using planetary hours, you can augment the input of subliminal energies into your work, because you are adding yet another layer of symbolism and association into what you're doing. And you can find places where perhaps there's a weakness that you can compensate for by choosing to start your ritual 10 minutes later or 10 minutes earlier, so that it falls into a different time slot. And we'll be going through all of those details in order to help you understand the topic. And then at the very end, I will give you a 5-minute introduction to the method that I use, which is completely different than using a computer or using the old method that I will be teaching. It's somewhat heretical, so you might find that it is useful to have this workshop in your arsenal.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. I just looked into the schedule that I have, but I don't know if it's the final one. But it's the backwards from what you just said.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I think both of them are equally fun. So, it's.
Oh yeah, but
We have very much the same crowd at both of them anyways.
Right. Right.
yeah. Well, there's nothing like you go to one, you've got to go to the next.
Right.
It's just a little addictive. Oh,
And I truly hope you are going to record it, because it's the kind of thing that would benefit from it.
yeah. Well, we're hoping that the technology we have is
Right.
functional. Okay, who wants to go next? Sorry.
I'll do it.
Oh,
Okay.
well, then will
My
you?
class is all going to be about playing with rocks. Literally.
Mhm.
Meteorites and tektites. They are, yeah. If you've never handled moldavite, this will be a chance to do it. If you want to know, gee, if you've never seen a palisite meteorite, I've got 2 pieces that I'm going to be handing around. You can hold up to the light and see the stained glass effect of tiny, what amount to olivine or peridot crystals set in a iron nickel matrix. What I've got, I have a small reference sheet that I'll be handing out that covers basically every kind of tektite that is available commercially. There's one I was not able to get. It's not technically a tektite, but given that it's radioactive, it's perhaps a good idea I'm not handing that around. Plus, I will also be discussing stuff that people keep saying is like moldavite, but isn't. I've got a few examples of that to hand around. It's fun stuff, but it's not moldavite. So you will get to understand what happens when you take a few hundred tons of extraterrestrial material, you slam it into the earth, and you fuse the 2 of them together. What do you get?
You're not going to tell us, huh?
Not until that's the part you have to come to the class for.
When's your class?
That is, I think I'm like the last slot on Sunday, just before lunch.
Sunday at 10:45. It says.
Isn't that the same time I am?
That is against Anatomy of Magic Circles and and
And the bird folklore plant panel and inner alchemy of wintering,
which luckily is going to be recorded for sure. So
yes.
yeah.
And basically, given that I won't be walking the stuff back to the car before after lunch, if you want to play with the toys and can't make it, you could just grab me at lunchtime and we can do something before we all pack up and leave. Cool.
Yes.
But I'm also going to be turning out my personal collection of tektites and things that I carry with me. So stuff like moldavite, Libyan desert glass, Tibetan tektite. Yeah, don't you love that stuff?
Wait, I'm drooling. Stop.
Well, this is why it's got to be at a live conference, because if you can't feel it, you're not going to be able to get it.
Yeah. I wish I was going to be there.
Well, we'll figure out something, but
eventually we'll get together.
Oh,
The advantage is I am one of these people who is a conspicuous acquirer of bits of extraterrestrial and semi-extraterrestrial rock.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, it looked like I couldn't find my samples. I was been running around Connecticut trying to locate. So now I have even more bits for people to play with.
Oh, yay.
your car is going to be full because Kathy's doing her divination toys.
Well, actually, the box is only about this big, which is why I couldn't find it.
Oh,
Only to discover that I had tucked it into the portfolio where I keep my Runewalder teaching materials, because the last time I had this stuff out, I was teaching both of them.
Mm-hmm.
all right.
Life just got easier.
Oh, thank you, Star Wolf. Is anybody else on a time got to run? So, okay. Well, who wants to go next then?
I said I would go because I was going to talk about rocks too.
Oh, goody.
Though we should do dueling rocks, you know. My workshop is called Accessing the Deep Fire, and it's about trying to locate that creativity you just know is in you somewhere, but you don't know how to get to it.
Oh, wait a second. I forgot something. I have to say, this is Badger Sophie, who is who does the Wandering Paintbrush Studio. I should mention the name of the person who's doing it.
Okay.
So, okay, go again. Sorry.
This will be 9:30 on Sunday, by the way.
Yes. Okay. Is
Or, sorry, 8. Yes, 9. Sorry.
I was going to say 8. Excuse
No.
me.
No.
I mean, I know I'm an early riser, but man,
My brain cells aren't connecting correctly all the time today, so it
I
is
had a very hard time
It is
today. I
called
know.
Thank
Yeah.
goodness
Eating
that's the day we fall back, so you get an extra hour's sleep.
Mhm.
There you go.
So
There you
thank
go.
goodness.
So
Thank you,
my
Dennis.
workshop really is a meditation exploration. That's really sounded very Schoolhouse Rock. I'm going to roll that back a moment and say that my workshop is a meditative exploration. That's better. Of how to envision, how to visualize and connect with the real inner creative fire that we have. And I use the Earth's deep fire, the mantle, and a traveling down to the mantle to identify what deep fire looks like, and then finding it in yourself as part of the meditation. And I haven't yet decided whether I was going to bring my igneous rocks with me, because I was thinking about it, and now I'm thinking we might have to have a competition, sir. And
It's hardly a competition. You bring it up, I'll bring it down. We'll meet in the middle.
that's right. Yes.
And
So-
you're scheduled such that you're one right after the other. So
Yeah, it's true.
It's kind of like you deal with the bottom 3 chakras, I'll deal with the top 3, and we'll meet at
There
the
we
heart.
go. We're on. Yeah. But the idea being that I think that people will be able to let go of some of their preconceived notions about how creativity is accessed within themselves, because people stress out about how, oh my gosh, I need to be creative, and well, it's not happening because they're forcing it. And also what the nature of creativity really is, which, artists and writers and musicians are not the only ones who require and use creativity. Teachers, parents, engineers, Scotty, the engines, all kinds of things like that. I saw you're laughing. Is I'm trying to get this all into a package that people will be able to use going forward, because we certainly can't do an entire meditation and like access all of this creativity at once in 1 hour. So I'm hoping to provide people with tools that they can use to identify the location of their creativity and what they can do to access it. I think that's about it. Yes. Oh, inner fire. There I am.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're going to have an opportunity to get stoned.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
For me, but not too much because we'll be driving home afterwards.
that's true. That's
She-
true.
If I
She
remember
was hit by a
correctly, there's
pun.
some steep hills between where that place is and us.
The highest form of humor is punning.
Lowest
It requires a good vocabulary.
does.
To be
So-
fast on your mental feet.
And it's also one of the few forms of humor that has absolutely no component of pain in it. So
Did you know that the ancient Egyptians loved puns?
this does
They
not surprise
did. No, they did.
You've obviously
One
never been around when I get started on cheese puns. Things get monstrous.
Puns are a
Okay.
really good way to figure out how magic works too.
Okay, maybe next year what we can do is have a mineral swap. People who've got too many duplicate minerals.
That's an idea.
Oh, by the way, for anybody who has an extra set, a tarot deck, that's going to be going. The tarot swap is going to be going on during the breakfast hour, Saturday morning. So between 8 and 9:30/10, we're going to be on the table that's furthest from the buffet in the restaurant, and so grab your food, wipe your hands, and then come back over to swap tarot decks.
I have a question. What
Yeah.
what is this thing that you call too many rocks?
That's when your floor starts to need extra supports.
Oh, that's when you have too many books too.
Our floor does need extra supports.
Well, I would say you have too small a house.
Yeah,
No,
that
no.
that can happen. Okay, so who wants to go next then? Okay, Raven, you want to go? You have to unmute.
There we are. Okay, y'all can hear me? Great.
Mhm.
Hi, I'm Raven Caldera, and I'm doing 2 classes this year at CTCW, and one of them is called Ancestors Not of Blood. And a lot of people do ancestor work, but they only think of the people who are related to them, and that's only one of my particular tradition, which is Northern tradition shamanism. We honor 5 different kinds of ancestors. We honor ancestors of the blood, of the heart, of the mind, people who wrote things that inspire us, and of the spirit, which people who did deeds that inspire us, and also of lineage, things that we inherit, not just genetically, but that we might inherit a condition that sets us apart, or we might inherit a particular job, a particular set of skills, a particular, like all the diviners here, you inherit a lineage of all the diviners who did all this figured it all out for thousands of years. So we're going to be working with the 4 out of 5 that people don't think about, and how to court them, and how to take rejection well, and how not to be offensive about it, and also how to invite those ancestors into your life to help with your ancestor practice. And if you don't have an ancestor practice, and the reason for it is because you're all weird about your family or your genetics, and you're like, I don't know, because my family is screwed up and I'm not sure I like this. Well, first of all, there's the issue that you go back far enough that doesn't apply. But there's also there are other ancestors, there are other dead folks who want to be remembered, who you can take as ancestors with their consent, and have an ancestor practice for that. And so that's one class I'm going to do, and we are going to do a little bit of a ritual there for ancestors, and we will call them. It's that time of year. Anyway, we just sort of did that. We did that officially at Samhain, but still, the veil is still thin. And the other, let's see, what the heck else am I doing?
Well, you can be on the gender inclusivity panel, or
I'm going to be in the gender inclusivity panel. Absolutely. I signed up for way too many panels.
Talking to the spirits.
Yes, I signed up for way too many panels, and they couldn't give me them all because I still have to present classes at the same time. So there are some panels that I'm just like grinding my teeth that I'm not going to be able to get to, but that's okay. I cannot yet bilocate. It's not a talent. But the other class I'm doing is called Developing Your Signal Clarity. And this is something a friend of mine and I actually wrote a book on that, but people come to me all the time and say, well, I want to talk to gods, I want to talk to spirits, and I want to hear them, and I'm not hearing them. And I'm not picking up anything psychic. I'm trying and it's nothing. And there can be a lot of reasons for that. And I'm going to talk about the different reasons for that. And I'm going to talk about things that can be done. Because I think modern neo-paganism has this idea that anyone can be a great psychic if they only just bother to try for a short period of time. And the Eastern religion folks know better than that, and this is more like 40 years on a mountaintop kind of thing. So I want to talk about what we refer to as signal clarity, and I also having an antenna that actually picks things up and doesn't just get static. And I want to talk about ways to make your signal clarity better, and also ways of discernment, figuring out what comes down and is it garbage or not. And I think I'm also on the divination ethics panel and the gender panel and a couple of others. So that should be
unusual forms of divination.
Yes, and I have some trauma aware unusual forms of divination actually that I'm going to be presenting in that one.
A multitude of altars.
Yes,
that could be a fun one.
Yes, Brandon and I have photographed our altars, or many of them, not all of them, but like a good selection of them, and we're going to be doing a little slideshow. It's like, here.
I have been to Raven's house. There are more than one altar in every freaking room.
Yeah.
Some of them are hanging from the ceiling.
Yes. Well,
no, really, literally.
It works. And so I think we're going to talk about ways to, if you have a small space or slanty ceilings or something like that, what's ways that you can put up altars, which ways that you can do things that fit into cracks and work. So.
Oh, the polytheology is one that was put up against.
That was the one I wanted most, but that was put against my. So you all got to go that one for me, I guess. That was put against one of my classes. I'll just have to hear how it goes. That's all right. It happens. I cannot yet bilocate. Working on it, but it may take another 20 years.
Yes, well, when we're having panels and the speakers doing multiple things, it fills up the schedule pretty fast.
Yep. Well, thank you guys.
Well, thank you for coming
Raven.
and sharing this, and we're looking forward to seeing you in a couple of days.
Drive carefully.
I guess it's time for me. And in theory, Oberon Zella is going to come, but he hasn't joined us yet. So I'm going to mention what I am doing. I've got the first class is divination with the RPG dungeoning dice. I have this theory that anyone who any symbol set, any collection of symbols that is known within a cultural group will make a good divination form. And so I'm calling it Roll for Initiative. And we have little bag. Yes. Well, we have little bag. Matter of fact, my daughter's play tested one today. For instance, supposing you are at a gamers will get this. You suddenly run up against a bunch of goblins. What do? Well, what about in real life when you have to prioritize the problems you have to deal with? You have to prioritize your health. You have to prioritize your relationships. You have to prioritize your finances. You have to prioritize, like, oh my God, I am totally. So, okay, what you do is you roll a 20 for each one of these, and it tells you which ones you should probably work on first. And of course there's advantages. If you add a +1 if it's got a time frame, but that's an advantage. And oh well, anyway, so but I also, because I have I get into lots of forms of divination, have put in different how to use this if you also like, if you're good with the astrology symbols. Gee, a 12-sider gives you a great option to use that. If you use the 8-sider, you got the planets and the moon. If you're using a 4-sider, that's for elements and how to use those things. And so, as I said, I just have this theory that divination can use any randomizer. If you have a technique for generating random numbers, and boy, do RPG dice have that. And you need to know. One of the first tools is figure out what you are. Describe yourself. I adore gaming because it gave us a much better interpretation, a way of reading people, rather than that Kruger, what was that? The one that gives you 4 initials and it's supposed to tell you what kind of a person you are. But on the other hand, Dunning,
Myers-Briggs.
Myers-Briggs, that's the one. I couldn't remember it. But on the other hand, it is so easy to describe somebody. Are they chaotic, neutral, or are they lawful? Do they tend to be evil, or do they tend to be good, or are they neutral? This is a much simpler system. It's a great way of, and you look at it and you say, what did I put my points in? Did I put my points into charisma, or did I put my points into health? Did I put my points in it to now I personally feel that I was born at a much higher level than a lot of other people, because I got good health and good coordination, good brains, but I took all of the points out of being able to spell, and I can't spell for people. But you can use that and adapt it. And that's the first one in the weekend. And the last one in the weekend is how to teach children to heal, and to and also teaching children about healing, and teaching people how to heal children. And that's the last one. There's Oberon, yay! So good thing I was just finishing up. Oberon, we're psyched to see you, but you're going to have to unmute. Can you hit the unmute somewhere? Probably in the lower. Yeah, you got it.
Got it.
Yeah, I was just finishing up on the classes that I'll be teaching.
Excellent.
And so you have gotten here. So tell everybody about what you're teaching, because it's exciting.
Okay.
I also am going to say this is Oberon Zell, who is the mighty wizard who, and he's coming on us on the virtual track. So you will be able to get it recorded, but if you want to ask him questions during, you're going to have to go to your device during the conference and go watch it there. You're looking good.
Thank you. Well, I'm doing 2 classes, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. And the first one on Saturday is about moments that change the world. Since the theme of this whole conference has to do with, with chance kind of stuff and fate and so on, it seemed very appropriate. I'm going to be talking about a few moments that changed the world forever and made every difference. We would be in a very different world had things been very slightly different on a few occasions. And these are excerpted from a book I'm working on called History's Mysteries, in which it's all about those kind of things, all about the little, moments in our lives and our history that make the difference. So I'm going to be focusing on 2 particular ones. One is the episode that we think of as the fall of Atlantis, and many other things associated with that, which occurred about 3,600 years ago or so. And a lot of things came along with that. The end of the Bronze Age, the beginning of the Iron Age, the change of the gods, for that matter. I mean, it was a big thing. So that will be a lot of fun. And it's going to be accompanied by a PowerPoint presentation of really spectacular images that I've got for it. In the book version, which it will be eventually out, the images all be black and white. But in this one, I've got color pictures, which will make it much exciting. And you'll only see them if you watch this. And the talk I'll be giving on Sunday at noon is on the once and future religion. And I'm going to be talking about, well, paganism, of course, ancient and modern, and where it all came from, and where it's all going, and history, and little interesting tidbits that I think will make it all fit together in some very interesting ways. So both of these are going to be a lot of fun, and I'll also be referencing some of my own writings in them. And of course, questions and answers will be open for that, for people who wish to follow up on any of it.
Yeah.
So there you are. Turning Point, Change the World.
Anything else that you that you'd like us to know? Because you're not getting up there. People aren't going to be able to corner you in the hallways. So what else are you up to?
Well, what I'm up to in my life.
Yeah. Well, do you have any classes? You got this book you told us you're working on, which I can hardly wait for.
I know I've always got at least one or two books working on in the background. I haven't really had a lot of time to do much work lately, but the book is nearly finished. So at the moment, I'm trying to decide who I want to publish it. So that's kind of going to be the next thing. I'm currently in Asheville, where I am now settled for good after several years of walkabout around the country. And I am now engaged to an amazing and wonderful woman, Rihanna, whom I love dearly. Hey, sweetheart. See if I can get her to come in and say hi.
Well, that's exciting.
This is my lady, Rihanna.
Hi, everybody.
Say
Hello.
Well, congratulations to both of you for finding each other.
Thank you.
We're pretty happy with each other. We're planning on getting married next year at Beltane. So
Woohoo!
we kind of got together this year at Beltane. So there it is.
Ah,
Yeah,
Anyway.
just got home from work too, so.
so crack the whip. Well, in theory, of course. I mean, you're looking very Gandalf-y, but
Seeing one wizard, you've seen them all, I think. Somewhere.
but well, do we ever do? I just the wizards never retire.
No. That is one of the things we really don't get to do, unless you consider retiring being tired over again, which is how we refer to it around here. But no, we just keep on going and going and going. Hopefully, that's one of the advantages of being a wizard, is that the older you get, the more wizardly you get. So you just keep doing it for a long time. It's a great advantage, though, when you're doing TV and stuff, is that the older you get, the less makeup you need. Unlike well, anyway, I really wish
very
it would
nice
be.
meeting
Yes.
all
Well,
of
thank you for coming. Because I just, it's always nice to see you again, and I'm hoping that I can. I don't know. It's very hard for me to pick, which is why I came up with recording things. But
Well, I hope that another time I'll be able to be there in person. But
so do we.
Let's do it all online, and
Well,
it'll be wonderful to
we
see.
need to get a lot more bodies through so we can get airline tickets for our
Yes,
there are people who are far away.
Quite a lot of traveling. For Thanksgiving, we're going to be in LA together, and then we'll be in Vegas in January, and we'll be in Detroit in February for all these big events that are big enough to fly us in, which is really pretty cool.
Yeah, well, we just got to get our numbers back up.
Mhm.
And then we hope to have you up there. So thank you for joining us in this preview of coming attractions.
My
And
pleasure. I'm going to go have dinner with my lady.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
go have dinner with your lady, because even wizards eat.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. And that's great. Okay. So let's see. I think of the people who are here have spoken. The next thing that I am going to, how many of you, in case nobody showed up, I had prepared some recipes of Halloween recipes that I found hard to find. I'm going to put them in the chat in case anybody is interested in my recipe for pan de muerta, my recipe for soul cakes, and my recipe for short soul cakes, which it seems to be that I don't know whether they're more traditional or not. I don't think they're more traditional because I think that they were raised with barm or leftover yeast from brewing, and so I think a yeast soul cake is probably a lot more likely.
Well, I just realized why the Pan de Muerto picture you used for the show tonight looked familiar. I just watched the tasting history about this.
Ah,
Same. It was
YouTube.
on last week.
Yeah.
Well, I think pan de muerto is really delicious, which you don't. Well, of course it's going to be delicious. Everybody's going to make it the way their family likes it. If you don't like anise flavor in yours, you're not going to. I've seen some that have lime instead of lemon. But
Anise and I do not mix.
yeah, a lot of people just will not. To me, anise is the flavor of Samhain, and so to me that's a thing. But anyway, so I've just put those recipes up if you want to try them. I've also put them on the Facebook events discussion thing. But the next thing we could go back to looking at the calendar, and we can talk about things. Star Wolf is here, so let's talk a little bit about panels, because Star Wolf and I are the two panel fiends, as it were.
If we were we are almost paneled enough to count as 1960s rumpus rooms.
Oh, we are indeed. Now, why is my?
I must take my leave. It's
Thank you for joining us.
Good to see you.
It's nice seeing you all, and I hope to see most of you in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yep. See you in about 48 hours.
Yep. All right. Take care, everyone.
See ya. Hope you remember to pack everything that you need to.
That was the funniest statement ever. You've never seen me pack. Oh my God. How many blank journals do you need for a 4-day weekend? Really?
Yeah. Well, they're for different purposes, right?
Oh, no, they're all for my novel.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. My daughter.
Yes, don't ever tell me to make sure I don't. Yeah.
Well, I do not pack. The older I get, the more stuff I seem to feel is absolutely necessary to bring. My daughter is packing, she's got her art supplies, and she's got her stuff for doing NaNoWriMo, and she's got her stuff for doing, all the things that she has to do while she's there.
By the way, your camera appears to have gone off.
My camera does appear to have gone off. Yeah, what I'm getting...
up, yes. And she is gone. Well, Star Wolf, we can still talk about panels, though, so.
Yeah, well, quite honestly, it's been a long day, so I can't remember which ones I'm on.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Good night, Sophie.
But, there will be many panels. I know I'm on the Tarot Threads panel with Chipicon. We both have been doing tarot readings for, I don't know, I don't want to admit how long.
I see you on the Unusual Forms of Divination panel.
Yeah. Yep.
And the tarot spreads.
And I believe I'm on the
polytheology panel.
Yes. Which means I'm going to probably have to do more work. Seeing Raven is not going to be on that one.
see. And you're on the ethics of divination.
Yeah, that one I'm very big on that one simply because I have seen too many unethical readers or
Oh yeah.
or ones who go on a power trip or who take delight in frightening their customers.
Right.
It just drives me crazy.
Mhm.
And seeing I'm not allowed to actually hurt them.
Mhm.
I don't know how many times I've had to pick up, as it were, the pieces after somebody has gotten a reading from somebody else that basically
Mhm. If
know
there's
your
a
life.
bad way to interpret the cards, do it.
Oh yeah, or worse. This will be recounted again at the panel. We were working out of a now unfortunately sunk without a trace metaphysical shop in Norwich, and
Mhm.
there was a woman who was doing astrology, and I don't know how she managed to, but that woman she couldn't do a positive spin on anything.
Oh dear.
I swear she got off on frightening people.
Mm.
Now understand, I know exactly enough astrology to look up my horoscope on the in the paper.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, no speaker to astrologic. There's only so much room in the head, and that one just is too much math,
Mhm.
even today. So it's like, oh my gods. You know,
Well, some people aren't happy unless they are creating as much drama as possible.
that and a tarot reader who gave me a reading and started to do every gypsy fear I'm going to try and sell you blessed candles line that
Oh.
Oh,
that
good.
I have, it's like you do realize you're giving a reading for somebody who's a reader and a witch and telling me I have demons around me and spirits around me. That doesn't exactly frighten me.
Right.
Some of those are close personal friends.
Yes. Yes.
You tell me there is a demon behind me. It's like, question is it anybody I know?
Mhm.
Or is it just somebody who's, I was at I was at a big metaphysical convention. Did I pick up a hitchhiker? Now, normally that
Is
doesn't
this one I
happen.
know
But,
or a newbie?
they take one look. They take one look at me and they decide that they need to be elsewhere. That's why you never bring me on ghost hunts.
Mhm.
Don't bring me on a ghost hunt if you want anybody to actually do anything, because they take a look at me and they decide I need to be elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's why I'm staying away from any of the ghost expeditions in the hotel. I want them to actually have things happen.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know that about yourself.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
it was
I wish
years
I
ago.
were there. Everybody has done exactly what Chipicon wanted us to do and made it sound like a very good place to be and a lot of good shows a lot of good sessions to join in on.
Maybe you can make it next year.
Maybe next year.
You know,
But I'm going to do the virtual track and host a couple of the shows and visit some of the others, and
okay. Excuse me.
that way I get to participate.
Excuse me. I just turned a dog on.
Mhm.
There. Shut up.
Well, I'm going to be vending too, and I'm looking forward to that because
There.
Chipicon always introduces me as having invented the quarter wands, and I haven't had any for about 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
We had a big storm in December of last year, and the taxus that was 2 stories tall in front of my house had to be taken down because it never straightened out again.
Oh dear.
So
To do that with a
stems
juniper
that
tree in
were
front of our house.
up to this big around
Mhm.
came down by force of a sawzall. And I am far too stingy to have let it all go to the garbage dump. So I
Right.
made a whole set whole bunch of sets, actually. I've got about 100 sets of quarter wands now.
Hmm.
So
Now, when you say quarter wands,
Uh-huh. A quarter wand is a piece of a tree
mhm,
that you open out so that your ritual is on the inside of the tree. You do this because the piece of wood has been cut twice in an
Okay.
X pattern going down the length. So when you're holding the whole thing, you have 4 wands held together. And when
okay,
you call a quarter, you take the wand from that quarter, you go and you call it, you put it down. And then you take the wand from the next quarter and you put it down. And by the time you finish, you have 4 wands around the perimeter of your space.
Hmm.
In addition to which, they are basically held. Oh, I don't have anything the right shape, but you basically hold them like this
hmm,
instead of holding a pointed weapon at someone that you're calling into your circle.
okay,
Because I always have had a problem with all the pagans who like to use their athame to call a quarter with a blade pointing at the spirit that they're inviting to guard that quarter.
okay,
I always
That's
use
not
my
the-
hand.
That just is
yeah,
dissonant for me. So I came
Yeah.
up with these wands because my husband was asked to cut a piece of wood into 4 pieces, and he cut them lengthwise instead of in
Mm.
segments. And it was such a brilliant mistake that I've been working with it ever since.
I like the idea because the
Cutting a
4
yew trunk
pieces,
to make longbows.
Yes.
the 4 pieces would then be fraternal quadruplets, really.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking, because they're connected pieces, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Think of the tree,
Mm-hmm.
and it literally splits into 4 parts and opens out
Yes.
so that you're on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
You are now surrounded by
The wand,
the tree.
the tree. Mm-hmm.
So you're inside the tree.
Hmm.
It's really pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like opening up a triptych.
Yeah.
So
I like
that's something I'm going to be bringing along with all my books, because I write too much. I talk too much. I write too much.
I'm married to an author. I understand the concept.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing right now. Her NaNoWriMo started yesterday
Mm.
morning.
Star Wolf, I need to show you my book on divination. I think you would enjoy it.
Okay, I will take a
So
look.
at some point, we need to intersect where I have the divination book in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So let's make
That
sure to hook up that way.
Interesting, given that we're both ridiculously busy.
Yeah, well, you could always go and be bored,
Mm-hmm.
pay your admission and go sit in a corner, do nothing.
I'll be doing some of that the weekend after at no, there's a big new age fair up in Marlborough, Massachusetts, and we got a hotel room. So if there's something we don't want to do, there's a period we don't want to do something, we can just go back to the hotel, back up to the room.
Right.
Also means I only have to park the car once.
Yes.
No, actually, I'll have to move it a couple of times because I'll be going out to get dinner.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, there's a 99 across the street, so I know what we're eating for the weekend. Friday
All
night
right.
and Saturday night.
Well, we
We've
have-
got 5 minutes left,
Yeah,
and it seems to be down to the 3 of us.
it does. And I'm not, Chipicon must be having a heck of a time getting back. So I guess at this point, any other things you want to say to people about why they should be there? What to see at the show?
You will learn many things.
Mm-hmm.
I would
and
like
you get a chance to interact with people you might never otherwise interact with.
Absolutely.
You know,
And it is at a level that is not your average new age introductory first time exposed to. I have been very impressed with both the attendees and the speakers at this particular event. And that's part of why I'm looking forward so much to being there.
I so wish I could be there because I am in a position of having relatively little exposure because I don't get out because of my disabilities, and I don't get to meet all these people around here who are doing the witchcraft and heathen and pagan thing and are very physically active.
I've got a Powerball ticket for tonight. Cross your fingers, and maybe next year we'll have scholarships.
Okay. I look
You
forward.
laugh, but you know,
Hey, you never know. You absolutely never
Exactly.
know.
It's laughing at the pleasure of the concept.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish I could be there with all of you.
it's one of
But
those things that I look at how much good stuff we could do with that money.
mm,
The charities we could help. The
Mhm.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, that would be really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, it would take such a small fraction of it to get Bill and I into a comfortable position, and
Yeah.
then the rest of it could do so much good.
Uh-huh.
So,
Though it would also mean we would be doing Disney World semi-regularly.
I might get to actually do it for a change.
You laugh, but we are both, Kathy and I are both mouse addicts.
Yeah,
Indeed,
well, I am too.
even
My
if-
brother worked there in the archives in California for
Even though
40
last
years.
year we said that was going to be our final ultimate trip. Nope, we're probably going to be going in 2025
Mm-hmm.
after the current administration has sort of changed in Florida.
Yeah.
Right.
I have
Well,
relatives in Florida. I feel
You have
badly
my
about that.
condolences.
Disneyland is on my list because my brother worked at the company for over 20 years. He even produced some short animated series on YouTube for them, and he still lives out there, and he would be the perfect one to give me a guided tour of the place.
Well, one of the plans is if I ever do the, oh my God, I want it, is to go around the world, stopping at
Wow.
all the various Disneylands. So starting with
Mm-hmm.
Paris, then going on to, I'm not sure about Hong Kong simply because of the politics, but definitely the two in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
then Disneyland, which I haven't been to since, oh my God's 1968. And
Wait,
then
isn't that pre Disney World?
yes, that was back
Yeah.
when it was the only thing in town. And I remember the year because we were just outside of Chicago when the Democrats were holding their convention
All right.
because we drove. That was interesting.
Well, I think it's time to officially
Yeah.
close this out. Thank you all for coming and telling us about your programs you're doing at the conference and getting us
See you
excited
all
about it.
like 46 hours.
Yeah. And I will be there virtually at least, hosting a couple of the shows. And I guess good night, Gretchen.
Good night.
Take care.
I hope that you have a wonderful virtual event.
I hope so too.
You take care.
You too. Find the button.